Let's concentrate on the big event that we have in the next couple of hours, which is the railway budget. Vivek Sahai, the former chairman of the railway board, joins us now to tell us what he expects from the new railway minister and what are the radical changes that could be announced to improve the finances of the Indian railways. Mr. Sahai, good morning and
good morning.
Thank you for taking the time out. First, an overall perspective on the 1, 2 and 3 things that you expect the railway minister to do which could improve the operating ratio or the finances of the railway sector.
See, this is a great opportunity for the government to do something for the railway to change its character. It is after about 25 years that we have got an absolute majority for a single party. So there are no pressures of the coalition politics. And if the government is sincere and it is wanting to bring a change, it can do so. Now, what is to be done? Let us analyze. We have to focus what we want the railways to do for this country. Please understand that railways is the best mode of transport for not only bulk, not only for large number of passengers, but in the interest of energy consumption per passenger kilometer or per freight ton kilometers, but also for the environmental protection. Now there is so much of pressure on us on climate change, and I think the next meet in Paris, which will take sometime in December, it will take place in Paris. There will be enormous pressure on our government to bring down its carbon footprints. Indian Railways will help in that pursuit of the government immensely. So that should be the focus.
No, Mr. Sahai, that point is taken. I mean, I don't think there is even one argument out there that railways should not be encouraged.
No, Lata, I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. So now, what major changes that this government can bring is that change the character of the railways totally by changing its structure. Vivek Sahai committee is already looking into it. I hope that their recommendations come very fast and the government implements them post-haste, whatever they be. But the change must be brought in.
Now, as a man who has seen it for so many years, what would you call a good budget from Prabhu today?
I am saying that change the character of the railways. It cannot deliver. The present structure cannot deliver. You may...
I understand, when you say change the character, I am not able to understand what you mean by it. Do you mean that passenger fares should be made break-even? Do you mean that, you should have freight which is more competitive with road freight? Exactly what do you mean by that?
I am saying that how those decisions will be taken. The railway board, the ministry, the people who are working in the organization, they are the people who will deliver for you. And they must think in that direction. And that is why the character has to be changed.
Now, Mr. Sahai, where do you think the money will come from? Because, as we understand, 1.8 lakh crores is needed to complete so many of the pending rail projects. How do you think the money will be raised?
First, we have to think that how railways will be able to generate its own revenue and bring its operating ratio down to about 80-82. It is going to be 92.5. That I'll look for it, how much the Honorable Minister...
The hope is 92.5.
92.5. It can be even more. So, how to bring it down to about 82 or 83, and it will be a very, very difficult task. Now, for that, you need a change in the thinking in the railways. We are going in only for bulk traffic. See, first thing, we concentrate more on passenger, and we have been neglecting freight for last 10 years. We have to concentrate on freight because the money comes from freight. The profits are from freight, and we all know, I think ad nauseum we have repeated it, that we have been subsidizing passenger from freight. Well and good. Whatever is the situation, we have reached a stage where the freight rates can not be increased even by an iota.
So a bad budget would be one that raises freight rates.
But then, if freight rates are not increased, how do you get more money?
So are you saying passenger fares therefore should be increased?
The volume of freight must be increased. How do you increase volume of freight? Because there are terrible capacity constraints in the railways. So you have to think out of the box. You have to bring in freight traffic by means which are innovative. And that is where the railway board has to sit down and think cogently how this can be done. And this is to be done by bringing in traffic which has gone away from us in last 10, 12 years, our share, the modal share of railways has been steadily going down.
Is the freight corridor going to make a difference there?
When it comes, that will be 2017 or 18. And there again, I am told some of the tenders are held up. So it may go up to 2020.
So there are some issues, right? There's land acquisition issues, etc.
And the issues are of taking those decisions.
Okay.
So if we are not able to bring in freight volumes, I think there is no other panacea for the situation.
Okay, I wanted to ask you about FDI, because last year the cabinet had approved a proposal to open up railways, but then there was a lot of pressure from trade unions, etc. Do you think in this budget there will be increased focus on FDI?
When we talk of FDI, we have to think that where, in which sector of railways will you bring FDI? For making locomotives, for making coaches, for manufacturing other equipment needed for the railways, or for constructing railway lines. Now, once you are focused on one sector,
what would you like?
Railway lines. We are having terrible capacity constraints. We got dedicated freight corridor, but that will be only 2 corridors. Indian Railways is 65,000 kilometers of route kilometers. So, if you don't, now how do you bring for railway lines? The person who's putting in money, bringing it from outside, he should have a comfort how he will get it back. See, historically, in the British time, the railways were built by British government standing surety for a 6% return on the investment made by private parties in 19th century. And that is how the railways were built in India. There was a 6% assured return.
Rate of return. Okay.
People invested and railways got built so fast. By 1910 or 1915, we had more than 40,000 kilometers all over. That was Bangladesh.
That would be your litmus test. If they are able to have a viable way to increase track kilometers, you would give it a tick box.
I would look for a policy which will bring FDI, where I can, once I see the policy, I'll know whether people will get the comfort or not. So, whether we are bringing FDI for manufacturing of locomotives, coaches and wagons, or for constructing railway lines. You have any number of locomotives and wagons, if you don't have capacity to run them, they will just stand, they will idle.
What has been the rate of growth of rail kilometers?
Rail kilometers, we add we add about 1,000 kilometers of new line, near about. That is again to be seen how much they have done last year. And about 800 to 900 kilometers of doubling.
Okay.
So
that's about 3-4% growth a year.
I mean, you can think about the 65,000 kilometers of, so 1,000 is 1 upon 65.
Yeah.
Okay. In terms of the gross budgetary support, last year it was 30,000 crores. So this year, what is the expectation?
No, that's a very interesting question. We are now having a capital outlay for the plan outlay is about 60,000 crores. 59,000 or something. 60,000 crore or 65,000 crore.
64,000 crores, 449 to be precise.
They will spend about 60,000 crore. Okay. I mean, I'm giving a roundabout figure. And we may get 70,000 crore.
Yeah.
Where are we using it? We are using it first for paying back our lease charges. That will be about 4,000-5,000 crore. So that's not giving you any return. Then you are using it for making your locomotives, your wagons, and coaches. And then how much are you spending on removing your capacity constraints? That is very important.
No, so
this 30,000 crore is actually 50% of what you are spending. You may get more, but then where you are going to use it?
Okay.
Whether the investment which will be made this year, whether it will give you return next year or not, or it will give you after 5 years.
So any substantial, sensible announcements in freight corridor will make you give it a positive tick?
Freight corridors,
Because it's a capacity expansion.
Freight corridors are going on. Only thing is that after awarding 2 tenders, the third tender is stuck. And it's stuck for more than 8-10 months.
And stuck for what reason?
I don't know.
Okay.
Or, I mean,
the speed is stuck.
For land acquisition.
No. It's not nothing else. It is,
it's okay.
People are scared.
There is a lot of resentment.
Some complaints have come. Something has happened.
So there is a lot of resentment from trade bodies on this increase in FDI. So do you think this government has the wherewithal to bypass that or to overlook that and come out with certain steps for increasing FDI?
When you introduced this subject, you said 1,80,000 crore. From where it will come? Either India as a nation should find that money, or you should get it from outside on giving some reasonable rate of return. Now, if people are annoyed, they let them be annoyed. If we have to construct railway, we have to find the funds. And it is for the government to give that direction, whether the funds will come from the kitty, the consolidated fund, the central government, or they'll come from outside. I think if we cannot find that volume of money inside, we have to get it from outside, and we have to be very, very logical in our decisions on using that FTI in those sectors where the return would come fast, so that we are able to
generate money.
Not only generate, to pay back their interest.
Absolutely. Mr. Sahai, we are actually out of time, but we will touch base with you to check after the budget whether it passes your muster. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks.